Wherefore it is an abridgment of the record of the people of Nephi, and also the Lamanites, written to the Lamanites, who are men of the house of Israel, and also to the Jews and Gentiles, written by way of commandment, and also by the spirit of prophecy and of revelation, written and come forth by the gift and power of God unto the interpretations, therefore sealed by the hand of Moroni, and hid up unto the Lord, to come forth in due time by way of the Gentiles, the interpretation thereof by the gift of God, an abridgment taken from the book of Ether also, which is a record of the people of Israel, or of Jared, who were scattered at the time the Lord confused the languages of the people when they were building a tower to get to heaven, which is to show unto the remnant of the house of Israel what a great thing the Lord hath done for their fathers, and that they may know the covenants of the Lord, that they are not cast off forever, and also to the convincing of the Jews and the Gentiles that Jesus is the Christ, the eternal God, manifests himself unto all nations, and now if their eternal God manifesting himself unto all nations, and now if there are faults, they are the mistakes of men, wherefore condemn not the things of God, that they may be found spotless at the judgment seat of Christ. First Nephi chapter 1. I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all the learnings of my father, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and mysteries of God, and therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. Yea, I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians, and I know that the record which I make is true, and I make it with mine own hands, and I make it according to my knowledge, for it came to pass in the commencement of the first year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judea, my father Lehi, having dwelt at Jerusalem in all his days, and in that same year there came many prophets prophesying unto the people that they must repent, or the great city of Jerusalem must be destroyed. Wherefore it came to pass that my father Lehi, as he went forth praying unto the Lord, yea, even with all his heart in behalf of his people, and it came to pass as he prayed unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire and dwelled upon a rock before him, and he saw and heard much, and because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. And it came to pass that he returned to his own house at Jerusalem, and he cast himself upon his bed, being overcome with the Spirit and the things which he had seen, and being thus overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away into a vision, even that he saw the heavens open, and he thought he saw God sitting upon his throne, surrounded with numerous concourses of angels in the attitude of singing and praising their God. And it came to pass that he saw one descending out of the midst of heaven, and he beheld that his luster was above that of the sun at noonday. And he also saw 12 others following him, and their brightness did exceed that of the stars in the firmament. And they came down and went forth upon the face of the earth, and the first came and stood before my Father, and gave unto him a book, and bade him that he should read. And it came to pass that as he read, he was filled with the Spirit of the Lord, and he read, saying, Woe, woe unto Jerusalem, for I have seen thine abomination, yea, and many things did my Father read concerning Jerusalem, that it should be destroyed, and the inhabitants thereof many should perish by the sword, and many should be carried away captive into Babylon. And it came to pass that when my Father had read and seen many great and marvelous things, he did exclaim many things unto the Lord, such as great and marvelous are thy works, O Lord Almighty. Thy throne is high in the heavens, and thy power is good, and thy power and goodness and mercy are over all the inhabitants of the earth. And because thou art merciful, thou wilt not suffer those who come on to thee that they shall perish. And after this manner was the language of my Father in the praising of his God, for his soul did rejoice, and his whole heart was filled because of the things which he had seen, yea, which the Lord had shown unto him. And I, Nephi, do not make a full account of the things which my Father hath written, for he hath written many things which he saw in a vision and in a dream, in visions and in dreams, and he also hath written many things which he prophesied and spake unto his children, of which I shall not make a full account, but I shall make an account of my proceedings in my days. Behold, I make an abridgment of the record of my Father upon the plates which I have made, which with my own hands. Therefore, after I have abridged the record of my Father, then will I make an account of mine own life. Therefore I would that ye should know that after the Lord had shown so many marvelous things unto my father Lehi, yea, concerning the destruction of Jerusalem, behold, he went forth among the people and began to prophesy and to declare unto them concerning the things which he had both seen and heard. And it came to pass that the Jews did mock him because of the things which he testified of them, for he truly testified of their wickedness and their abomination, and he testified that the things which he saw and heard, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of a Messiah, and also the redemption of the world. And when the Jews heard these things, they were angry with him, yea, even as with the prophets of old, whom they had cast out and stoned and slain, and they also sought his life, that they might take it away. But behold, I, Nephi, will show unto you that the tender mercies of the Lord over all those whom he has chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty even unto the power of deliverance.